Of discussion boards. I am your instructor for SES 502, Dr. Nina Schneider, and today we're going to be doing an overview of all the discussion boards. We're not going to go over a specific discussion topic for this term, rather in general focusing on the purpose, how to start, the initial post, and the engagement post, and then also reviewing briefly the critical elements, or in other words, how I'm going to grade you on these discussion board posts. The discussion board is the single one way for all students to interact. It is a way for you to be pushed to think critically, to look at things from a different perspective, and for you to engage in a discussion with your fellow students. The more you are active on the discussion board post, I think that the more you're going to actually enjoy the class. Make sure that you always read the instructions. You have the initial post that is due on Thursday, and then 2 engagement posts. Both of those posts have to be on somebody else's thread. So not responding to a student who is posting a question on your thread, but rather posting a question or a discussion on somebody else's thread. There are no right or wrong answers in this class for these discussion board posts, which is great. The idea is really just to think critically, to look at the question, and to provide a rationale or support for the position that you're going to be taking. The initial post should be about 1 or 2 paragraphs in length. Definitely you're going to be using the course content in your post. I mean, that's the whole point. If you do include references or citations, make sure that you use APA format. And I suggest that you also post a question in order to initiate a discussion with fellow students. For those engagement posts, they're due by the end of the week. And I want you to go beyond the, hey, what a great idea this is. I really like your ideas. Instead, I want you to be critical. You can still agree with the student, but explain your rationale, why you would be agreeing with the student, or maybe why you take a little bit of a different perspective. Challenge another student in a nice way. There's no need to really challenge in a negative way. We want to make sure that everybody's respectful and nice in this class. But there are so many different opinions and viewpoints. It's really nice to get things from a different perspective. And make sure to keep an eye on your thread. I will often post questions, especially during the beginning and middle of the week, to students who are posting early. I want to get you to the max points possible. If you're missing something in that initial post or in those discussion board engagement posts, then I will be posting on your thread and gently suggesting that you add a little bit more, or describe or support your point a little bit more. And it's easiest to keep an eye on your thread if you simply subscribe to it. And then you'll notice that students or I am posting on that thread. So here's the first critical element. With all critical elements, you have an exemplary, proficient, needs improvement, and not evident category. For the exemplary, you want to make sure that you really are providing a lot of rich detail. The proficient is pretty much the standard. It's where you're answering the questions, but you're not going in as much in depth. For comprehension, this is simply making sure that you're addressing the questions from the instructions and addressing each of the points or questions that you're asked to address. Engagement, make sure that you have 2 engagement posts at least by the end of the week. The timeliness, the first initial has to be posted on the Thursday of that week, and the timeliness really only focuses on that first initial post. I cannot provide any points for any posts that are beyond that week. So in other words, if you're sick or you're running late and you post on Monday for the week before, those posts will not have a 10% late penalty, as most writing assignments will have. Instead, you will still receive a 0 for your points for the discussion board, but for that week. Critical thinking addresses or grades your ability to provide a rationale, to explain your thought process, to go a little bit more into explaining to other students how you viewed the situation. And I have an example here. And then finally, writing or mechanics speaks to your organization, your grammar, your spelling mistakes, as well as making sure that you include APA citations or formatting, not formatting as much, but APA citations and references in your paper or discussion board as appropriate. And that wraps up the introduction to the discussion board post. I can't wait to see you on there this week, and reach out to me as always if you have any questions.